Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today I'm just going to do a pretty quick review. I am very much still processing this movie. This has a lot more layers than I thought it had. This is a recent release that I got. This is a newer, more like release from Arrow Video, and this is one that I'm kinda surprised that they released. It is called Giants and Toys from 1958. I kept the original sleeve on, or at least the cover, because the alternate looks great. I enjoy it. It looks like this. Looks great. I like it, but I think this is just a much better cover. But the thing that I like most is that on the surface, this movie is very wholesome and feels good. But then you start to kind of think about it, start to think about the characters. There are no redeemable characters in this movie. Everyone's out for themselves. There's a lot of, not backstabbing, but a lot of stealing of, from different companies. A lot of different things are being stolen. But what this movie is about a marketing department who sells caramel chocolates, basically. And this guy, he's new, he's young, he's fresh in the game of marketing. And one of his college friends works for a competing company that sells chocolates, I believe, too. And his college friend is also dating a woman from another company that are competing with them. So it's kind of this three-way competition going on that our main characters are trying to win, where sales are going down. They are not making as much money as they used to. They're trying to find a fresh new, I guess, product, or at least marketing campaign. And so our main guy named Nishi, he has an idea to bring in some everyday woman who doesn't really have any experience in marketing and acting, really anything. She's just an everyday person. But her name is Kyoko Shima, and she is so refreshing as a character to watch, because everyone else is very much selfish, egotistical, and she's, the same way, but she's very bubbly, very energetic the entire movie. And so she gets hired on to become kind of a poster girl for this marketing campaign. And so she has the famous spacesuit on with the ray gun, because that's kind of the theme that they're going for with the chocolates. And she is played by Hitomi Nosore, and she is just absolutely amazing in this movie. And I'm unsure what else she has been in, because, and this is kind of a thing that I wish Arrow would do more, and not as a limited run, but they have booklets attached to some of the releases. And they do it only for like the first 2,000 copies, I believe, and they stop. And I don't know why they do that. But this one especially is like a 15-page essay. You can kind of see the thing there. 16 pages. I was trying to read the numbers. But this essay was very, very enlightening. This is the type of essay that I love to read, because this movie, as they discuss in the essay, completely bombed. Nobody liked it when it came out. And within the year after it did its theatrical run, a lot of film school groups started picking this movie up, and they kind of realized how, I guess, critical that the director, who is Yasuzo Masumura, who has also done Blind Beast and Red Angel. And I found out because on the essay, or at least after the essay, they list all the movies that he's ever worked on as screenwriter and all that. But he also worked on Hanzo the Razor. He did another pretty big movie. He was involved with Kon Ichikawa, who was a Japanese director who worked on two of one of my favorite Japanese war films, The Burmese Harp and Fires on the Plain. Both of those are really good, very melancholy, or melancholic. But there are two actors especially who are really big names that were in this movie. And one of them is Yunosuke Ito, who is in a bunch of Kurosawa movies. He's in a couple Zatoichi films. He's in a couple of Kon Ichikawa films. He's in a Lone Wolf and Cub movie. He's in a lot of things, and that was really fun to see him in there. But of course, we have the mega superstar Michiko Ono, who is... She was like the main actress of 1950s Japanese cinema. And she's also in a lot of Kurosawa films. And a couple of romance dramas, as her Letterboxd says. But again, this movie on the surface is very bubbly and fun and, interesting. But as the essay lays out, this movie is very critical of Japanese society after the war. Or at least, it's critical of the empire, I guess, not phase, but era of Japanese society. And it goes into kind of all of the different aspects of the director's life, because he got conscripted into World War II, working at a munitions factory. And the essay kind of talks about how all these different things kind of became like a whirlpool of ideas and inspirations for the director to make this movie, because this was a studio film with a Daiei Studio, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's Daiei. Yeah, it is Daiei Production. Okay. So they were a major studio. They talk about in this essay all about how all these different Japanese studios like Toho, Daiei, and a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head, all of them, because the economy was doing so much better, they were making so many movies that they weren't really sure which one would make money. So they would just shell out all the money they could to make as many movies as possible. And that's why the 1950s and early 60s is regarded as the golden age of Japanese cinema, which I agree with. I always talk about how the 1950s Japanese cinema is what I enjoy. I love Kurosawa. I've been dipping my toes into Kenji Mizoguchi, who did one of my favorite movies, Sancho the Bailiff. He's done a few other ones, but I haven't seen them. He did Ugetsu, which is a Japanese folktale ghost story, which Kwaidan by Misaki Kobayashi, that movie too, kind of dipped into that ghost story drama. So you can see all these different directors and themes coming together in this period. And they talk about, in this essay, about how it was just like a young people's game, where they were not really hiring older people, and this movie especially, they use as a metaphor for the Japanese film industry, talking about how almost everybody involved in this movie were in the early 30s, late to, it was like mid 20s to late 30s. And there were very few people above the age of 40 involved in this movie outside the older businessmen who try to shoot down the young people's ideas in this marketing campaign. And as I'm talking about this movie, I'm kind of grasping the scope of this movie because I did talk about in the beginning of the review how I'm still kind of processing it. But you do get to see all these different aspects coming together. And it's a great metaphor for the Japanese film industry, as this essay lays out. I really enjoyed this essay. This is why I love collecting physical media, because you get to learn about these movies in a way that you wouldn't have over a decade ago, because I think boutique Blu-ray companies have really opened the world of cinema to a much more, not critical eye, but a much more analysis-driven consumption. Because I'm not saying there was never any film analysis before boutique Blu-ray companies, but I'm seeing a lot of movies getting revisited that did not have a successful theatrical run or, physical media run in the beginning with VHS or even DVD. And so this movie especially is one that nobody liked upon release. And nowadays, from what I understand from the essay, is regarded as one of the best movies of 1958, which is when this movie came out. And I have to agree. They mention another movie. I think it's Ballad of Narayama, which I've seen, which is really good. And they talk about how 1958 was kind of a slow year in general, but that a lot of different movies that were not made by Kurosawa or Mizoguchi or Kan Ichikawa, all these different directors, they kind of took a back seat that year. I'm unsure if Masaki Kobayashi made a movie that year that became successful. I think Harakiri was 57, maybe 59. Actually, it might be in the 60s. So this movie kind of got lucky in regards to the critical reception that this movie got after the fact. And so, I really enjoyed exploring this movie. There is a, introduction that this movie had, which I didn't realize there was one. I would have watched it had I known. But it's with Tony Raines, who has popped up here and there throughout my channel. But he is one of the top Japanese scholars or Asian film scholars around in the entire world. He's one of the best. And anytime there's a Criterion and you see his name, get it, because it's going to be worth every dollar. He's on the Parasite release, Memories of Murder, almost all of the Kurosawa releases. He's on Sancho the Bailiff, he's on this. He's in a bunch of things, and every time he shows up, it's always a treat. So this is a really great package. This is a movie I just picked up because I was like, hey, I've heard of Yasuzo Masamura, so I might as well buy it. And I got it on sale, and this is kind of what I really enjoy about blind buying, is finding these little not Easter eggs, but these, I guess, diamonds in the rough. Because I would probably never have given this movie a chance if I saw it on streaming or somewhere else. But having the essay really contextualizes this movie is what I love most about essays, is when they contextualize and show the historical influences, looks at the behind the scenes context with director careers or lives, kind of how they got to this point. And just to finish a point that I forgot to finish, it was a Wild West kind of scenario for Japanese studios making movies. This movie, and the essay talks about, was filmed in under a week. They just had, just enough money to fund this, so they made it. And the director was writing a script or something with Kan Ichikawa, and he was told to go finish this movie within a week. And he was able to do it, and a lot of people didn't like it upon release. I've said that a lot, but I think it's still really good, and even better if you put that into mind about how it took the director just a week, just under a week, really, to make this movie. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking that he was able to do that. This movie has a million characters always talking, just to kind of show the chaos of marketing and kind of society in general, because the director was drawing upon his critique of the post-war Japanese society. So, yeah, I highly recommend this release. It's a great release. I am talking about, of course, Giants and Toys, directed by Yasuzo Masumiro. I keep messing that up. But this was a really good treat. I hope you guys at least check it out on streaming if you have the chance. I think it's very lovely. So that is Giants and Toys. Thank you all for watching, and please let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you all.